Shane van Gisbergen just did something NASCAR had been waiting years to see. At Richmond, the road course king beat a field of short track specialists to his first points-paying oval pole. Then a penalty wrecked his track position. What happened after that may be the clearest sign yet that SVG's biggest NASCAR weakness is disappearing. Let me take you inside Richmond Raceway, Friday afternoon, August 14th. 39 trucks rolled through the gates for the Black's Tire 250, with only 36 starting spots on offer. 3 teams were loading up and driving home before the green flag ever waved. The format was brutal in its simplicity. Single truck on track, 2 laps. Fastest lap wins the pole, no do-overs and nowhere to hide. And if you watched practice earlier that day, you would have written Van Gisbergen off completely. He rolled out 15th quickest. 15th. Lane Riggs went out and stamped a 22.899 on the board, and the short track regulars looked exactly the way. Short track regulars are supposed to look at a short track. Then qualifying started, and the Kiwi in the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet Silverado went out and ripped a lap of 23.168 seconds around that D-shaped Virginia bullring, an average of 116.54 miles an hour. Kaden Honeycutt fired back in the number 11 Tricon Garage Toyota with a 23.182, 14 thousandths of a second. That is roughly the length of a blink, and it was the difference between the pole and the outside of row 1. The entire top 5, Van Gisbergen, Honeycutt, Chandler Smith, Grant Enfinger and Nick Leitz, got covered by 91 thousandths. And look at who he beat. Ty Majeski, a driver who has not finished outside the top 3 in 3 consecutive Richmond Truck Series races, lined up 7th. Lane Riggs, the series points leader who topped practice, wound up 11th after his team chased handling for the cooler nighttime conditions. Even Elliott Sadler made a nostalgia's return in the number 25 Colleague Racing entry, and 16-year-old Virginia native Tristan McKee made his series debut for Spire and outqualified both Corey Heim and Christopher Bell. That was the depth of the field Van Gisbergen went out and topped. Now let me explain why the NASCAR world lost its mind over this. Van Gisbergen has 14 National Series victories in America, 8 in the Cup Series and 6 in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and every single one of them came on a road course or a street circuit. Chicago, Sonoma, Mexico City, Watkins Glen, Portland, the Charlotte Roval. The man is a 3-time Australian Supercars champion with 80 wins and 46 poles in that category, and he turned left and right for a living long before he ever came here. The ovals were supposed to be his weakness. For a long stretch, they genuinely were. His first Truck Series oval start came back in 2023 at Indianapolis Raceway Park, where he started 28th and finished 19th and looked completely out of his depth. It took until Kansas in 2025 for him to crack a single Cup Series top 10 on an oval, so when he clocked the fastest lap of a session stacked with lifelong short track hammers, the reaction inside Richmond was pure disbelief, including from the driver himself. He climbed out grinning, thanked the Spire crew for making him comfortable all week, and admitted these trucks feel a lot like a Cup car, which is exactly why the seat time keeps translating. The record books lit up too. This was the first points-paying pole Van Gisbergen has ever taken on an oval in any of NASCAR's 3 national divisions. He became just the 3rd foreign-born driver in Truck Series history to sit on a pole, joining Australia's Marcos Ambrose and Mexico's Daniel Suarez in a very short line. He became the 151st different competitor to score a truck pole, and he delivered the first Truck Series pole for Spire's number 7 team under veteran crew chief Kevin Bono Manion. Then weather rolled in and shoved the whole thing to Saturday afternoon, which changed everything about the racing surface and the strategy game. Now, the race. Kaden Honeycutt did not need long to make his point. He cleared Van Gisbergen off the start and proceeded to lead 225 of the 250 laps in an absolute demolition job at the front. Honeycutt admitted afterward that his team had been scuffling for weeks and could not figure out what was wrong, and he leaned hard on crew chief Scott Zipadelli for turning it around. When a driver goes from wondering what the heck is going on to leading 90% of a race distance, that is a team finding its feet at exactly the right moment in the season. Van Gisbergen's afternoon went sideways during the second round of pit stops. Uncontrolled tire. A crew member loses the wheel. It rolls loose in the box, NASCAR throws the flag, and there is no arguing about it. That penalty stripped away every bit of track position he had earned on Friday and dropped him to the tail end of the lead lap in 18th. For a lot of drivers, that is where the afternoon quietly ends. Not this one. The number 7 team went strategy hunting in the final stage. While the leaders peeled off for their green flag stops, Van Gisbergen and Grant Enfinger stayed out and kept hammering laps, gambling that a caution would fall before they had to give the track position back. That gamble is either genius or a disaster, and there is very little in between, with 35 laps to go. Stuart Friesen picked up a puncture and crashed entering turn 1. Yellow flag. And just like that, Van Gisbergen and Enfinger got to pit under caution without surrendering a thing. From 18th to 2nd on strategy. Even then, the day would not stop testing him. He came down pit road running 2nd and left it running 5th because a rear tire changer lost his footing during the stop. Racing luck can be genuinely cruel sometimes. He restarted behind Enfinger, Honeycutt, Corey Heim, and Christian Eckes, and over the closing 20 laps he reeled Enfinger back in as the front row veteran faded, taking 4th at the flag behind Honeycutt, Heim, and Eckes. And here is the part that gets buried in the results sheet. Van Gisbergen was not even eligible to score Truck Series championship points because he runs the Cup Series full-time. Every one of those 250 laps was pure education, purchased on purpose at a track where he had almost no experience, which brings us to the truly ridiculous part of the weekend. Because that truck race got pushed to Saturday, and the Cup Series ran the Cookout 400 under the lights that same night, Van Gisbergen became the only driver on the property to run all 650 laps in a single day. Christopher Bell had been entered in the truck race and pulled out. SVG did not. The Cup race was a grind. He qualified 31st, sat 21st through both stages, went a lap down, took the wave around, then lost 2 more laps on a green flag stop before clawing one back on fresher tires. His weekend got its final gift on lap 284 when Carson Hocevar money shifted and blew up his motor entering turn 1, dropping a caution right before Van Gisbergen's scheduled stop. He salvaged 14th in the race Joey Logano went on to win. 14th does not sound like much. In his current situation, it was everything. Van Gisbergen leaves Richmond 16th in the standings, the very last driver on the right side of the playoff cut line, with a 50-point cushion over Ryan Preece and 63 over his own Trackhouse teammate Ross Chastain. Austin Cindric's third-place run actually jumped him ahead into 15th. 2 races remain in the regular season, starting with the Dollar Tree 301 at New Hampshire, and neither one is a road course. That is the uncomfortable math staring at the number 97 team right now. His 2 victories this season came at Watkins Glen and Sonoma, and his safety net is built entirely out of points he banked on tracks that are no longer on the calendar. My honest read? That Richmond pole is worth far more than a trophy photo. A driver who could not crack an oval top 10 18 months ago just out-qualified an entire field of short-track specialists, then out-strategized most of them after a penalty tried to end his day. If that version of Shane Van Gisbergen shows up at Loudon, the playoff bubble conversation changes in a hurry. What do you think? Is SVG a genuine oval threat now? Or was Richmond a beautiful one-off? Drop your take in the comments. and stick around for full New Hampshire coverage.